Day 88. I'm still reading If God is Love, page 138. Compassionate religion. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. First John chapter 4, 7 to 8. It couldn't be clearer. Religion, at its best, encourages and guides us in loving others. The goal is love. Where love is active, the religious rejoice. Where love is absent, they grieve. One day, the Apostle John complained to Jesus, "Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he does not follow with us." But Jesus said to him, "Do not stop him, for whoever is not against you is for you." Jesus was more interested in seeing people made whole and goodness triumph than in maintaining personal authority or control. Unfortunately, John was not the last disciple of Jesus to confuse the issue. I was once invited to a Baptist conference when I was pastoring a Methodist congregation. One of the speakers discussed the need for church growth. He produced a map of the area and announced that the denomination needed to plant a church in this locale because there were no churches within a 10 miles radius. Since I knew there were several Methodist churches within this circle, I almost interrupted. Then I realized he meant there was no Baptist churches. I'm not picking on the Baptist. I'm certain in Methodist circles, people often made the same assumption. If we were not ministering there, no ministry is happening. Each group suggests that only those who follow its narrow religious viewpoint are authentic. It sends ministers to Muslim, Buddhist, and Hindu countries convinced it is the true religion. This is an age-old problem. A story attributed to the Jewish philosopher Moses Mendelssohn illustrate both the seriousness and silliness of this attitude. A woman once asked the teacher, "Which is the true religion?" The teacher replied, "Once there was a magic ring that gave its bearer the gift of grace, kindness, and generosity. When the owner of the ring was on his deathbed, each of his 3 sons came separately and asked him for the ring. The old man promised the ring to each of them. He then sent for the finest jeweler in the land and paid him to make 2 rings identical to the original. The jeweler did so, and before he died, the father gave each son a ring without telling him about the other 2. Inevitably, the 3 sons discovered that each one had a ring, and they appeared before the local judge to ask his help in deciding who had the magic ring. The judge examined the rings and found them to be all alike. He then said, "Why must anyone decide now? We shall know who has the magic ring when we observe the direction your life takes." Each of the brothers then acted as if he had the magic ring by being kind, honest, and thoughtful. Now, the teacher concluded, religions are like the 3 brothers in the story. The moment their members cease striving for justice and love, we will know that their religion is not the one God gave the world. Our problem today as much as in this day of Jesus were Mendelssohn's, is that we consider religion a ring to possess rather than love to express. We are so obsessed with being right, and we forget to be gracious. In so doing, we reveal our spiritual immaturity. I don't believe there are 1,000 different paths to God, with one as good as another. I think some religious ideas are abhorrent, others seriously flawed, and none completely satisfactory. This isn't a criticism as much as an acknowledgement that human intuitions always mirror human diversity and frailty. This also implies a certain standard by which I judge religious thought and institutions. Does a religious idea or group make the world a more loving place? If so, I don't want to stop it. If not, I don't want to follow it. For me, the ultimate test is one Jesus suggested. He told the story of the final judgment. The question on that day was not whether people believed the proper theology, whether they belonged to the one true church, or whether they'd been baptized in Jesus' name. To the righteous, God simply announced, "When I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Surprised, many asked, when did we see you hungry, thirsty, a stranger, needing clothes, sick or in prison? To which God answered, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did it for me." When we do such things, we demonstrate the presence of God in our lives. When we act graciously, we act behind the labels: Christians, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, that divide us. We claim our proper place as a child of God and a member of the human family. Confucius said, "When the great principle prevails, the world is a commonwealth in which rulers are selected according to their wisdom and ability. Mutual confidence is promoted and good neighborliness cultivated. Hence, men do not regard as parents only their own parents, nor do they treat as children only their own children. Provision is secured for the aged till death, employment for the able-bodied, and the means of growing up for the young. Helpless widows and widowers, orphans and the lonely, as well as the sick and the disabled, are well cared for. Gracious religion helps such principles to prevail. It works to create a better world for all. Gracious religion will be gentle, because creating a new world is delicate work. It will be humble, since our visions of this new world will often differ. It will be open, seeking common ground, even as it explores our diversity. Finally, gracious religion will be compassionate, unwilling to leave anyone behind. Unfortunately, the Christianity of my childhood often lacked these characteristics. It restored to threats and demand, and was impatient with the resistant. It could be arrogant and rude, insisting on its own way. It was tenaciously close-minded, unwilling to tolerate doubts or questions. It was too exclusive and self-absorbed, comfortable with the damnation of millions. There was a time when I seriously considered Christianity beyond repair. Today I am more hopeful. Jesus is one of the reasons. When I examine his life, words, and example, I am profoundly moved. When I take his call to authentic human living seriously, my life is transformed. When I share his confidence in God's ability to redeem even a cross, I no longer despair. Convinced his gracious way of life is the proper way of life, I envision a gracious Christianity, a people committed to being like Jesus. Okay, I should stop here. I just finished chapter 5. Please correct me if you can. Bye.